Over the weekend, also, First Lady Jill Biden made an unannounced visit to Ukraine yesterday during a trip to other parts of Eastern Europe, accompanied by Ukraine's First Lady, who was appearing in public for the first time since Russia's invasion began. Dr. Biden visited a school turned shelter in the war-torn country. Her trip was especially symbolic as it came on Mother's Day, a holiday filled with grief this year as so many Ukrainians cope with losses from the war.
I wanted to come on Mother's Day. I thought it was important to show the Ukrainian people that this war has to stop. And this war has been brutal. And that the people of the United States stand with the people of Ukraine. You feel it.
Before her visit to Ukraine, the First Lady also spoke with Ukrainian refugees in Slovakia and Romania, many of them women and children who left their husbands and fathers fighting at home.
Oh, she's a little shy. Hello. How are you? Hello. Hello.
My name is
Julia. How do you explain it to your children? The war. How do you explain the war to Julia?
Very difficult how I explain. Julia, як я тобі поясню, що таке війна? It's difficult to explain. I don't know. I only said that it's war. I cannot explain. I cannot explain because I don't know myself.
Thank you. Thank you for talking with me. Thank you, Julia.
Thank you, my daughter.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
Ukraine's First Lady thanked Dr. Biden for her, quote, courageous act to come to the country during such a dangerous time. Joining us now, NBC News White House correspondent Mike Memoli, who is traveling with the First Lady. Mike, what more can you tell us about this trip?
Well, Mika, I'm really struck by the conversation that you've just been having about Russian President Vladimir Putin and his attempt to really showcase military power at a time when that's very much in doubt. And what I've seen now over the course of the last 4 days as I've been traveling with the First Lady in Eastern Europe, we've actually literally just arrived a few minutes ago at the airport here in Bratislava, where we're about to head home. This was really an exercise in soft power on the part of the First Lady. At each stop, the official mission was to showcase the U.S. support for not just the people of Ukraine, but for our NATO allies, especially Ukraine's neighbors, who have done so much to absorb the cost in terms of humanitarian toll, economic toll of the crisis in Ukraine. But also what was absolutely just a significant moment yesterday, what advisors to the First Lady described as a mother-to-mother conversation between the U.S. First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden, and Ukraine's First Lady, Olena Zelenska, who we had not seen in public since the invasion of Ukraine began. I was one of 6 journalists who actually had a chance to travel into Ukraine with the First Lady. It was a secret trip. It was not revealed. We were not even able to report it until after we had left the country. But as you played there, the 2 First Ladies, both mothers, having what we were later told was a really personal conversation, one in which Dr. Biden asked Olena Zelensky, how are you feeling? And she talked about the toll that she and so many other Ukrainian mothers have had not being able to be with her husband, but as Olena Zelenska told the First Lady, being able to hold her children's hands at night. Dr. Biden is going to be bringing that message back home to her husband, to the president. There is no other figure in this administration who has the stature, who is without. Dr. Biden is an advisor without fear in this administration. And I just asked the First Lady a few moments ago when she was meeting with Slovakia's president, what she told her husband as she was leaving Ukraine, and described the meeting. And she said she thought it was so important to tell him how important it was to continue to stand with the people of Ukraine at the horrors of what they've been experiencing. And we know she's also going to be focusing a lot now on the importance of mental health. She was visiting classrooms and seeing students who have fled their country talking with mothers who are experiencing this tragedy time. And that's going to be, I think, an important focus of hers going forward.
NBC News White House correspondent Mike Memoli, thank you very much. And I've been following the First Lady's trip, Joe, and it's truly incredible what she's been doing, because it's not just symbolically showing up, not only where the refugees have been going to Romania, Slovakia, but showing up inside Ukraine and hugging the mothers and the fatherless children who are in this unbelievable situation where their families have been torn apart and these children's lives have been in massive upheaval since the war began. If they're in Ukraine, they're not in their home. They're somewhere else, and they don't know if they're going back. And she did a lot of listening. She didn't, work the cameras. She sat down and listened and held their hands and hugged the mothers. And one little girl came up to her, with a little piece of paper shaped in a hand, blue and yellow. And she asked what was written on the paper. And the little girl said, "I want to go home to my father." And that's the situation that every child is in that she has been meeting with. That's the situation every refugee is in. If you go to the border in Poland, where millions of refugees have crossed through, all you'll see is women and children. And right there, that a family has been torn apart. That's just the beginning of their treacherous, unimaginable journey away from this war.
There are visits, many diplomatic visits that you're doing, and you just check the boxes as a country. They need to be done. I will tell you, you can just look at these images, look at the pictures, look at what came out of these meetings, and the word soft power was used earlier. Is an extraordinary use of soft power. Jill Biden, where Jill Biden is most comfortable, in the classroom and with people. She has an extraordinary gift one-on-one with people, connecting with people. There's a genuineness that comes across. And yes, we know her. We've known her for a long time. We've also known her long enough to see her when she's in rooms where she's talking to people. And she has the common touch. And there are some people when they walk into a room and give others a hug that make a difference. I know growing up, we always talked about Ronald Reagan during the Challenger tragedy and talking to families and hugging people. But here's Jill Biden doing what Jill Biden does best. Get this, being a compassionate, loving human being. Why do I bring this up? I bring it up for two reasons. One, Richard Haass, it is so important that face right there is the face of hope coming from America to Ukraine. And that's a face that we see back here of these children on Mother's Day, separated from their families. But also, it is also important for Ukrainians to see America's First Lady over there and to know that the president's wife, the First Lady, has come into a war zone and is going to be coming back and telling the president that this is a country that is in need of continued support. Not that the president's not supporting him now, but just being with her every day, someone who's been to Ukraine, someone who's been to the war zone, someone who knows the personal toll that this war is taking on the people of the country in a way that even the greatest Secretary of Defense is never going to learn in his briefings, or the greatest Secretary of State.
No, it's absolutely so. And, the focus naturally has been on the military help, but it's also a reminder, a big thing, what we're doing to help the economy, to help the refugees. And we'll probably be talking about reparations. One of the things about these wars is the war consequences don't end when the war ends. And what you see is an entire generation in particular of young people, who will literally need years of help in order to recover anything like normalcy. So you've got the economic cost of ultimately rebuilding a country, but you've also going to have the health and the psychological challenge of rebuilding a country. We've seen it in other war zones. And you see these family scenes. So this is the stuff literally of years, not simply of weeks. Unfortunately, we can't begin it until the war ends, and that's part of the problem.